Hello there, everyone. Patricia Hayes here. How are you today? I hope all is going well with you today. Welcome to Coffee Time. If this is your first time, we're so glad to have you join us. Again, my name is Patricia Hayes. I am an executive advisor, empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. All those things mean I love making sure that people are getting to the next level of where they want to be in their career, in their business, professionally and personally, but making sure that they're doing it in a way that's authentic and sustainable to themselves, that honors their values, and will help them to build, those professional relationships for the long term that will help them, for many years to come. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We are talking about creative networking right now. And in this particular episode, I've labeled it Get a Life and Improve Your Network, because literally it can so be just that simple. But first step, why creative networking? Well, because it is so easy to get stuck in a networking tunnel is what I'm calling it, where you just literally have tunnel vision about what it is you can do in order to build your relationships, because that's what we're really talking about. When we're talking about networking, when I'm talking about networking and I'm doing it authentically, I'm talking about doing those things that are going to build relationships that support your career, your business, even your personal life as you move forward. And so in order to do that, you've got to diversify how you think. You've got to break down some of those walls, take off those blinders that will keep you keep you stuck and only going down a specific tunnel, as opposed to really opening up and seeing all the huge variety of opportunities for relationships and next steps that are really available to you. And when I talk about creative networking, it's also a matter of helping to add some depth to you, some depth to your character, some depth to your personality, depth to your interest. All of those things will help you to be more attractive, dare I say, but literally just being able to engage in more conversations with more people. And that's what I mean by being more attractive, is like literally just because you have something interesting to talk about, and it's interesting because it matters to you, that will help as you go out, looking to build relationships deliberately and strategically, as well as when you're just trying to, be a normal person and live your life. So today we're focusing on that be a normal person, live your life part, and how that can actually strengthen your ability to build a sustainable professional network. And so my first step, I've got to say this, because before you get all caught up in your head and all of the things, is that in order to quote get a life, you first must get to know yourself. You literally must know what it is that you're even interested in or could be interested in. So we're going to have a coaching moment with Patricia right now, right? Because y'all know how I feel about reflection time, and that includes when you are working on building out your professional relationships. And so in that reflection time, I want you to really think about how is it that you have grown and evolved personally and professionally in the last 3 years, 5 years, 10 years even. Because the reality is there are things that you may be interested in now that you were not interested in many years ago. There are things that you were interested in many years ago that you have no interest in today. And what I don't want is for you to get stuck in other people's perceptions of, who you are or what you were interested in X number of years ago, right? So that's why that reflection time is important, because what will happen, again, that's really leaning into that networking tunnel piece, is you will say, oh, okay, well, if I have to do this, then I was doing this when my network was really building and I was doing this thing. But then it kind of evolved or dissolved. And guess what? It may be because your interest in that particular activity, group, whatever it might be, just, went away because you were growing. You were growing as a person, you were growing as a professional. So don't feel obligated to go back to those things. We will talk about, that, but don't feel obligated to do that. Instead, think about, okay, where have I been? What has changed? How is that affecting me now? And what does that mean for me currently when in terms of making sure that I pursue those things that are of interest to me today so that I can make sure that I am building out my network for today forward, not based on what happened in years past, right? Now, the flip of that is, where have you abandoned old interest for work or career? So this is where you've abandoned something, not because you grew away from it or whatever, but literally because you became so focused on your kids, your work, your job, whatever, that you literally didn't make room for it anymore and it disappeared. I own up to it, right? I've literally been in that rediscovery mode in recent months. If you followed any of my content, you'll know part of that is because I have done the work from The Artist Way, a fantastic book. I don't have it here beside me, but a fantastic book that literally took me on this 12-month excursion back into things that I know that I've been interested in for a long time, or acknowledging those things moving forward. And from a creative standpoint, right? From a creative standpoint of who I am and what I want to be as a professional and as a person. And so that, really has really just reinforced and reaffirmed something that I already knew, which is I had a whole host of hobbies and activities that I really used to be so involved in that I wasn't doing anymore, because literally I just let work and all of life suck the life out of me, so that I didn't have the capacity to do those things and enjoy them. And so I have really been on this whole mission of rediscovering those things, re-engaging in them, and managing the type A perfectionist in myself, which would be like, oh, we got to go do all the things right now all at once. No, I'm trying to ease back in. And so that Artist Way was a great way to do it, because there's these things called artist dates that help you to say, hey, once a week, go do X, whatever X is for you, and fully engage with no obligations to other people. So that said, looking at things of how you've grown and where are you now, as well as taking a look back as what did you abandon that you really didn't mean to, but it happened, and how that can be reincorporated into your life right now and today. Okay. So make sure you engage in that reflection piece. I had to drop that coaching moment in because it's completely relevant to this conversation. Now, that said, here's the thing. Instead of trying to create these things that are absolutely the moments and the experiences that most people hate, which is why they say they don't like to do networking to begin with, is because they're not approaching it from an authentic space. So here's the thing. You have to network from where you are in your life right now, right? Connect with people, build those relationships from where you are. Now, again, we are not talking about from a business perspective, from your professional career and the work that you do. We are not having that conversation right now. We will talk more about that next week. But right now, let's talk about, in terms of getting a life, like maybe you have kids, you have family that you're super involved in, you have a community that you're super involved in, whatever it is, you have hobbies. We just talked about that, hobbies that you need to re-engage in or new ones to pursue. This is how you begin to reconnect and to connect with people anew from this space. So I know for me, for many, many years, once I had kids and, my family developed, I spent a lot of time with it. Even while I was going, all in on my professional career, I was very engaged with my kids because that means a lot to me. And so when I tell you I spent more than my fair share of time at the dance studio with my daughter, who's a dancer since age 5, I spent more than my share of time at the dance studio 3, 4, 5 nights a week. going to conventions on the weekend. And guess who I was talking to? Other parents who were stuck there with me at those convention halls and through those dances. Now, am I going to sit there and just mind my own little business and not talk to people? You could. And there were moments where I'm like, let me slip back to the room and have a little quiet time, or let me slip back to the room and get a little work done. But here's the thing. Why not use those opportunities as well to just start building relationships with these other parents? Because guess what? They are professionals too. And when you start talking to other people about what it is you do, what it is they do, how they got into the space with their kids, whatever, you would be amazed at the relationships that you develop from there. I have so many relationships that were founded on my daughter's years as a dancer, my daughter's years as a Girl Scout, where I was a Girl Scout mom and volunteer. I mean, some of my closest friends today and people that I reach out to for my network today are from those years, okay? I'm not going to leave my son out. My son is Mr. Athlete Extraordinaire. So I've spent more than my fair share of time in the football stands, coming and going to games, being a volunteer for the Booster Club. And what happens? You build connections and relationships with people. You find out what people do, what their interests are, how you can support them and their children, but how you can support them. And guess what? You're creating a bond that's unique because you have common interests. Those common interests may be that family thing, right? Moving on to hobbies, same difference. You have a vast interest, different types of hobbies that you're engaged in or that you need to re-engage in. This is a perfect opportunity because what? You are engaged with other people who like the same stuff you do. Don't make it so hard. It does not have to be so hard. And everything doesn't have to be about, oh, well, I need to see what they do so that I can figure out what kind of business deal we can get going. Let me tell you something. There are things and folks I've engaged with hobbies and different interests and had no idea about what it is they did or what it was professionally until, it came up later in conversation or some interest came up and they're like, oh yeah, do you want to go with me to X because, and I'm like, what? I mean, you will be surprised. It truly is a matter of one of those, it's a small world. So it doesn't have to be hard. Don't make networking hard. Don't make your professional relationship building hard. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes you just need to be yourself, go do the things you like to do and see where it takes you, right? Because, and as much as I talk about the strategy behind it, being involved and doing those things you're interested in is a strategy. I know that when I get new clients or my clients come to me, one of the first things I tell them within the first 2 weeks is I will tell them is number one, get a journal because you're going to engage in a lot of reflection time, right? You're going to need to be able to write that stuff down somewhere. And secondly, I tell them, go get a hobby. If you have a hobby, how deeply engaged are you in it right now? Get ready to go to a different level. Why? Because the work we're about to do is going to get pretty intense more than likely, and you need an outlet. And so when you're engaging in something that you like to do, it again creates that room for expansion, to provide some relief to your poor little brain that's working overtime, trying to do all these things. And you get to meet other people who are interested in the same things that you are. Don't make it hard, okay? So whether you're sharing a hobby or you're engaging in a hobby that's your own, or let's say if a friend says, hey, do you want to come to this, to this class with me? Go to the class with your friend. Go to the show with your friend. You never know what's going to come of that. All right. Which gets me to my third thing, which is engaging in your community. Yes, I've owned up over the years that I'm a volunteer junkie. I really do enjoy giving back to my community in a number of ways. Again, this is a strategic activity for me as well, because when I do, I've always been where I engage in something from a professional standpoint. So maybe I'm serving on a board or working on a committee that has to do with my profession, but I also make sure that I'm engaged with community boards or committee activities, whatever it might be, that I have a personal interest in, where I can utilize my skills, as well as those are just completely passion projects, right? I'm not trying to connect it up to anything. It's just something that I really feel deeply about. Now, here's the thing. When you follow those passions on the issues, when you go and connect up on a board or committee or doing whatever kind of, public service or volunteer service, you will be so surprised at what happens as a result. Literally within the last week, just within the last week, so I don't even have to go back months or years. Within the last week, two things. One, I went to a luncheon. It was a small luncheon for a board that I serve on, where we were inviting other business folks in to learn more about what it is we do. And this is a community service, related board. And I was like, I have time, just go, don't overthink it. Again, I have to tell myself the same things, right? Don't overthink it, just go. So that's what I did. And I'm sitting there, I come across in this small group of people, there are at least two people that I did not know, but we are connected through other organizations or things. One, because who's a parent who at the same school where my son goes, and there turns out their child is engaged in the athletic areas and supports them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, our kids probably know each other, right? The second one was a woman who is the community engagement liaison for an organization that I have volunteered with for years, right? Had no idea. And even after that, on the board that I came to represent and be a part of, one of the other board members that was present was like, hey, we need to talk about doing some strategic planning, and I'd love to, have a conversation with you about this. Didn't go there for that, didn't expect it, but just by showing up, saying what I did, what my interests were, and then being present, created those opportunities, right? Second situation, this past weekend, again, for a different board that I'm on, we had tickets to a event in the community. So I decided, hey, I want to go, because I'm like, I love a good, fine arts performance. And so I went to, it was a great show. I go, I see tons of people that I know from my years of service in the community, some of whom I had not seen in a while. And so it was great to connect up with them. And I ran into one of my old clients. I'm like, hey, how's it going? She's like, yeah, we need to talk. Let's reconnect like immediately. And there I am reconnecting with an old client. I didn't go there for that. It happened though, because I put myself out there to go show up, to be a part of my community. And there we are. So don't make it hard, people. It doesn't have to be hard. Make it easy on yourself. Set yourself up for success by having a plan, yes, and the plan being, hey, I'm going to re-engage in this hobby. Hey, I'm going to make sure that I try to support, somebody, where my kids are working or serving or whatever it might be. I'm going to go show up to this other event. I'm going to go be present and follow up. I know, broken record, that's me. Follow up. You would be amazed at what happens as a result. It does not have to be hard. So that's why I'm saying, be creative in your networking. With some of you say, it's not really that much. I'm like, it is when when you're getting outside of that box that people have tried to cram you into when it comes to saying, oh, if you're going to be successful networking, you got to do 1, 2, 3. Guess what? That may be true, but all of that doesn't have to be true all the time for everybody. Bottom line. All right. So get out of your own box, get out of the box that people are trying to put you in, go get a life and improve your professional relationships, improve your personal relationships, and watch how it comes back to you twofold in ways that are completely unexpected. Okay. There we are. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. Would love to get some engage with you in comments, or you can shoot me a DM. If there's some more support that you need, don't hesitate to reach out. The strategy power hours or half hours, I'm doing those now, are open and available. And I take them until they're full and then there's no more space. So you might want to check them out. If you need a little bit more time and want to get more strategic and specific about some things in your career, your business, for next steps, then let's consider some VIP time, whether that's an intensive of a couple of hours or maybe you need a half day or more. Let's get that set up as well. Just reach out to me, DM me, or click the link in the bio, and it'll give you access to all of those opportunities. Okay, take care, and I will talk with you all again soon. Bye-bye.